spina bifida or kilala din bilang split spine, isa siyang birth disorder na dahilan ng incomplete development ng fetus spine during the first month of pregnancy. Usually, nag-range ang spina bifida from being mild to a very serious case ng disability. Sa first month ng pregnancy, meron tayong special set of cell na nagpo-form bilang neural tube. Si neural tube, siya yung nagpo-form as the brain, as the spinal cord, and the meninges. Meron din naman tayong term na neural tube defect. Ito naman yung nagde-describe sa mga conditions kagaya na lang ng spina bifida na nangyayari sa early stages ng pregnancy. Ito yung mga chances na hindi fully form yung neural tube, or si neural tube hindi siya fully close, and merong bones sa spine na nagkakaroon ng gap, hindi siya fully nagko-close din sa likod ng patient, kaya naman pwedeng makapag-cause ng damage sa spinal cord at spinal nerves. Spina bifida is used as a generic term to describe yung mga patient na may problem sa kanilang lumbosacral region or dun sa vertebral arch. Merong protrusion of the spine and its coverings, pwede din silang tawagin na spina bifida meningeal tsaka myomeningeal kapag ka-involved na yung spinal cord tsaka yung mga meninges o yung mga coverings. Meron naman tayong tinatawag na spina bifida occulta, or yung meron lang na skin lesion sa spine, or meron lang na tuft of hair dun sa lumbosacral region ng back ng patient natin. Meron tayong different types of spina bifida. Meron tayong spina bifida occulta, spina bifida cystica. Nahati siya sa dalawa actually bilang meningeal tsaka myelomeningeal. Makikita natin sa picture kung anong itsura nung spina bifida occulta, meningeal, tsaka myelomeningeal. Ngayon, isa-isayin natin sila kung ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin ng mga types of spina bifida. Si spina bifida occulta, ito yung most common type, tsaka mildest type ng spina bifida. Pwede natin siyang ma-distinguish kapag mayroong tuft of hair or mayroong area without pigmentation sa skin, sa lumbosacral region ng patient. Usually, one or more vertebra does not fully form properly, or nagiiwan lang siya ng maliit lang na gap sa spine. Kadalasan nga ng patient na may spina bifida occulta ay hindi nila alam na mayroon silang spina bifida occulta. Pag lang nagpapa-check up sila, kaya lang nila nalalaman. Ang spina bifida occulta din ay hindi naman nagko-cause ng major problems para sa patient. And usually mga patient natin na may ganito ay nabubuhay naman ng normal life. Si meningeal naman, siya naman yung more severe type ng spina bifida kasi nga mayroon na siyang visible cyst sa likod, or mayroon na siyang fluid filled sac sa kanyang lower back ng patient. Ito yung form ng spina bifida na nagpo-protrude na yung mga meninges around the spinal cord, napupush back niya na palabas ng spine. Usually naman, nagpo-form naman ng maayos yung spinal cord, kaya naman pwede namang madaan sa surgery para ma-remove yung membranes without damaging the spinal cord and its nerves. For myelomeningeal naman, ito naman yung most severe form ng spina bifida, or yung pinaka malala na type ng spina bifida. Kasi yung cyst niya sa likod which is nag-hold na ng nerve roots, or yung mga kadalasan pa nga yung spinal cord na mismo. Kaya naman yung mga patient natin na may spina bifida myelomeningeal is high risk sila for infection. Kasi mayroon din tayong tinatawag na open spina bifida. Ito naman yung mga spina bifida na wala ng skin yung kanilang cyst, which is possible na mag-pop o pumutok, which is very delikado naman. Yung mga patients natin na may myelomeningocele, pwede silang maka-experience ng changes sa kanilang brain structure, pwede silang magkaroon ng leg deformities, leg weaknesses, tsaka yung mga bladder and bowels dysfunction.
So, etiology. Etiology. The development of nervous system is an embryonal process called neurulation. The primary neurulation is the first phase and includes the closure of the neural tube and thus forming brain and spinal cord. The second phase comprises formation of sacral and coccygeal segment and occurs around 26 days of gestation. Spina bifida is an incomplete closure of dorsal spinal structures and usually happen to appear between 17 to 30 post-conceptional days. Um, Spina bifida may cause both physical and cognitive disabilities. The exact cause of spina bifida is unknown, but scientists suspect genetic, nutritional, and environmental factors all play a role in its development. So dito maaano natin yung mga factor kasi hindi pa alam hanggang ngayon ng mga scientists pero ina sinasuspect nila na ito nga na isa tong genetic, nutritional, and environmental factor. So, matidiscuss natin dito isa-isa yung possible na magkaroon ng spina bifida. So, the factors can increase the risk of a baby developing the condition. Yung una is yung low folic acid intake during pregnancy. Kasi yung folic acid, reduce the incidence ng isang spina bifida. Yung folic acid kasi makikita natin to sa mga green na vegetable or mga prutas. So, yung maternal sunod, yung maternal heat. Yung maternal heat, yung nararamdaman ng isang magulang o ng mother na buntes. Kasi, 'di ba, halimbawa, mainit yung panahon. So, tayong mga normal na tao na yung hindi buntes, ano siya, 'di ba mainit yung pakiramdam natin? Paano pa kaya sa buntes? Parang nagiging doble pa yon yung naramdam nilang init sa katawan. Kasi nga buntes sila. Tapos, possible pa na umabot yung temperature nila na 39.2, 39.2 degree. Tapos, pag umabot dun yung temperature ng isang pregnant, ano, ang tawag na dun overheating. Possible na yon ay maka-apekto din sa baby. Kaya dapat hangga't maaari, umiwas tayo sa yung naiinitan tayo ng ganon na mararamdaman natin if ever na mabuntis tayo. Kasi syempre, lahat naman makakaranas nun. So, sunod naman nito, yung mid-spring conception. Yung sa sa mid-spring conception, ano, sa based on kasi to sa US. So, yung mid-spring conception yung spring or early early summer yung season dun sa US. Tapos, pwede kasi itong makaapekto sa child. Tapos, ayun nga, pwede nga siyang makaapekto sa bata. Kasi, mataas yung impact ng pesticide sa air, sa water, kahit saan. Kasi, yun yung time ng mga farmers na magtanim. Kasi nga, syempre nga, summer nga, di ba? So, yung mga farmers, yun na yung chance nila na pwedeng i-take kasi nga, doon lang sila pwedeng magtanim. So, ang mga month nito ay mga April or July, ganon. Kasi nga, yun nga yung ano, yung growing season nila. Tapos, having a family history of spina bifida. Di ba nga sabi nga kanina, ano siya, genital. Possible, sabi ng mga scientists. So, kung may history ka na nga ng ano, ng spina bifida, possible na maipasa mo to sa magiging anak, sa magiging anak mo, or magiging anak ng anak mo. Tapos, yung ano, medicine, yung mga medicine na tinitake natin. Kaya, mas mabuti, bago tayo mag-take ng medicine, mas maiga na magtanong muna tayo sa OB. Kasi, mas may alam sila kesa sa atin. Madali lang naman magtanong sa OB, di ba? Magte-text ka lang, magchat-chat ka lang, di ba? Kaya mas mabuti nang gawin yun. Siyempre, para na rin yung sa kalagayan ng magiging anak. Sample na dito yung ano, valproic acid. So, ito yung ano, valproic acid, siya yung ginagamit para ma-prevent yung seizures. Like, ano, like epilepsy. Next naman, yung maternal nutrition. Siyempre, alam naman natin, kahit hindi ilabas na natin yung spina bifida, yung alcohol, unang-una yung alcohol. Bawal na bawal uminom ng alcohol ang mga buntis. So, eto, isa na rin to sa makaka-apekto at pwede din mag-cause ng spina bifida. Tapos, insufficient folate intake. At yun na rin yung sinabi ko sa inyo kanina na yung yung low folic acid intake during pregnancy. So, ito din yung ibig sabihin nitong insufficient folic intake. Tapos, low dietary quality. So, ayun nga, pag wala tayong nutrition or hindi sapat yung kinakain natin, pwede rin itong maka-apekto sa baby and pwede rin itong mag-cause ng ng spina bifida. Tapos, elevated glycemic load. Elevated glycemic load, ito yung um, measures of how quickly a food can make your blood sugar rise. Ito daw yung yung nagsusukat ng ng sugar natin sa katawan. So, kasi name-measure daw nito kung gaano kung ganong kung gaano kabilis, ayun, kung gaano kabilis natin, kung gaano kabilis tumataas yung sugar natin sa katawan. Tapos, masama kasi yung mataas yung sugar sa katawan. Pwede siyang mag-cause ng diabetes sa'yo or sa bata. Tapos, low methionine and zinc intake. So, ayun nga, low methionine and zinc intake. Ang pro kasi nito sa metabolism. So, ayun. So, next is low serum choline level. So, yung low serum choline level, siya yung, ah, siya yung responsible sa liver and pag mababa kasi yung, natin, yung choline level, pwedeng maka-apekto to sa liver and muscle. So, ang mangyayari doon, ano, pwedeng ma-damage yung liver mo and mag-cause to ng fat sa liver na tinatawag na NAFLD. Yung NAFLD, ano siya, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Yun yung tawag doon pag nagkaroon ka ng fat sa liver. And then, kasi pag nagkaroon ka na nga ng muscle damage, pwede siyang, ano, mag, mag-cause ng heart disease. Ano doon, parang tataas yung homocysteine mo, kaya magkakos siya ng heart disease. Sunod naman is yung low vitamins B12 and C level. So, ayun nga, yung vitamin B12 kasi, ano siya, responsible siya. Parang role niya is, re, essential role in red blood cell and cell metabolism. Tapos, ano din siya, production of DNA. So, malaki yung role niya. Di lang sa katawan ng mother, mas malaki din yung role sa baby kasi sa atin, sa katawan ng mother, kumukuha ng nutrition yung baby. Tapos, next naman is other maternal factors, yung smoking. Di ba alam naman natin, parang sa alcohol lang din, na masama sa katawan ang pag-smoke or paninigarilyo. Kahit makaamoy lang, masama to, pwede rin to mag-cause ng spinal bifida. Tapos, low socioeconomic status. Yung low socioeconomic status. Low socioeconomic status. Next naman yung infections and hyperthermia. Yung hyperthermia is yung abnormal high body temperature or overheating. So, yun yung hyperthermia. And then, pregestational diabetes. And then, preg- pregestational obesity. Yun sa diabetes, may siya, may two types. Yung pregestational diabetes, ito yung diabetes. Meron ka na talagang diabetes nung hindi ka pa nagbubuntis. Tapos, gestational diabetes. Ito yung nagkaroon ka ng diabetes habang pinagbubuntis mo yung bata. Tapos, pregestational obesity. Ito yung yung tawag dito, yung paglaki mo ng pagtaba mo, ganun. Tapos, psychosocial stress, um, psychoso psychosocial stress, yung yung nagdadala sa ng stress through socialization and then the valproic acid use. So, ayun nga yung nasabi ko kanina, yung tawag dito, yung ginagamit para ma-prevent yung seizure. Tapos, environment. Sa environmental factor naman, yung ambient pollution and indoor air pollution. Ang ang pinagkaiba lang nitong dalawang to, tong ambient sa labas, yung pollution sa labas, tapos yung indoor air, indoor, so sa loob ng bahay. Tapos, siya, di ba doon sa indoor air pollution, common na dito yung mga yung mga usok ng sigarilyo, ganon. Ganon din naman sa ambient pollution. Tapos, next is nitrate-related compound, organic solvent. Yung yung organic solvent, siya, yung chemical that we use to dissolve fats, oil, grease, stain, or yung ginagamit, yung mga cleaning products, like, ano man tawag ito, yung mga Sunrox, Clorox, di ba kahit naman tayo, pag gumagamit nun, halimbawa, gumagamit tayo ng Sunrox or Clorox, tapos, di ba nakaka-suffocate pag sa CR natin ginagamit, tapos walang open air na 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 pumapasok dun sa CR, nakaka-suffocate siya. Ang sakit niya sa ilong, sa ulo, ganun. Tapos, yung pesticide, nabanggit ko rin naman na yun. Tapos, yung polycyclic hydrocarbons, siya, medicine, ah, polycyclic hydrocarbons. Yun yung makikita natin sa, kasi siya, organic compound. So, ingredients siya sa mga medicine, yung dyes, yung ginagamit natin para magkulay ng buhok, yung bleach, ganon. Tapos, sa plastic, and then sa pesticide. Tapos, disinfectant in drinking water. Last na yon. And then, next na po.
Okay, so itakal naman natin ang pathology ng spina bifida. The development of the normal spinal cord from the 2nd to the 6th week of pregnancy includes gastrulation and primary and secondary neurulation. During the first stage of gastrulation, the endoderm and ectoderm form a bilaminar embryonic disc. Gastrulation, kung babalikan natin yung mga first lessons natin about human dev, gastrulation, diba, is the transformation of an embryo from one-dimensional layer of epithelial cells o yung blastula, tinatawag na blastula. Ito yung nasa left side ng image, hanggang sa mag-reorganize siya into a multi-layered and multi-dimensional structure, which is yung gastrula naman. Ayan siya yung nasa right side ng image naman. And not only that, of course, another critical event during the human gestation is the neurulation. Ito yung neural plate. Sabihin natin para siyang flat sheet. Then it will turn into a neural tube that will eventually become the brain and spinal cord, kasi after nila mag-fuse, kumbaga, mahahati pa siya sa two parts, which is the cranial and the caudal part. Cranial end for the brain portion of it, and then yung caudal naman is for the spinal cord portion. Ayan, basahin natin yung further description. The pathological effects during primary neurulation can lead to the spinal dystrophism. Part of the primary neurulation is the formation of nerve folds, the nerve groove. By joining the nerve folds, the nerve plate changes into a neural tube. Closure of the cranial and caudal openings of the neural tube represents the end of the process of primary neurulation. Ayan, so ang sabi dito, the pathological effects during primary neurulation can lead to the spinal dystrophism. Okay, so proceed tayo sa next slide. Tingnan natin kung ano ba yung dystrophism. Okay, so ang dystrophism is yung failed fusion o parang incomplete na pagkakombine ng folding process ng kanyang neural tube, which leads to abnormality in the spine. So, kung makikita nyo, ito sa right side ng slide, ayan yung normal na formation ng neural tube. Both the cranial o yung upper part at saka yung caudal, the lower part, ay pareha silang nag-close. Then, ito namang isang picture, kung makikita nyo, hindi nag-close yung caudal end ng kanyang neural tube, which leads to spinal bifida. And then, additional info lang kapag naman ang cranial end ang hindi nagsara, yung upper part ang hindi nagsara, ang tawag naman dito, ang tawag sa magiging case dito is anencephaly. Ito yung condition kung saan si baby hindi nag-develop ng brain at saka skull. Okay. In implication from risk factor, katulad nga ng mga nabanggit kanina sa etiology, for example, yung kulang sa folic acid si mother, and then it could lead to the failure of neural tube to close during the first month of embryonic development. And then, of course, after nun, pwede mag-increase yung CNS pressure, and then it will lead to failure to properly close yung neural tube, and then finally, it will cause a defect in the neural tube.
Signs and symptoms. Signs and symptoms, nervous system will usually already have been damaged, which can lead to problems such as weakness or total paralysis of the legs. So, alam naman natin yung spina bifida, more on lower extremities yung naaapektuhan. Kaya possible na magkaroon ng paralysis or yung hindi talaga sila makagalaw, makalakad, or maigalaw man lang, ganun. Tapos, bowel incontinence and urinary incontinence. Yung yung bowel incontinence, yung bowel incontinence, yun? Inability to control bowel movement resulting in involuntary soiling. Or mas mas kilala siya na fecal incontinence. Yung bowel incontinence, siya, di ba pag nararamdaman natin, pag tawag na tayo ng kalikasan, yung dun sa normal, siya, kaya pa natin silang pigilan para makarating tayo sa CR, tsaka doon natin siya mailabas. Pero pag meron kang bowel incontinence, nararamdaman mo pa lang siya. Hindi mo na siya kayang pigilan. Kaya ang kahihinatnan, may ilabas mo siya kahit wala ka pa sa CR. Ganon din sa urinary incontinence. Pag naiihi ka, di ba, napipigilan pa natin, naiimpit pa natin kahit sabihin natin bawal mag-impit ng ihi, di ba? So, dun sa pag yung tao may urinary incontinence, hindi nila napipigilan kahit sa pagtawa. Halimbawa, tawan-tawa ka, mapapaihi sila. Ganon. Tapos, yung loss of skin sensation in the legs and around the bottom, the child is unable to feel hot or cold, which can lead to accidental injury. Ito yung delikado din sa kanila. Kasi, nawawalan ka na ng sensation. Di ba, mahalaga sa atin na magkaroon ng sense, lalo pag, sense of touch. Kasi, dun pa lang, malalaman natin, mainit ba to? Malamig ba to? Kaya, mabilis ma-injured yung isang tao. Lalo yung mga bata. Pag hindi nila na-sense yung mga ganong bagay. Tapos, many babies will have or develop hydrocephalus, which can further damage the brain. Kasi di ba yung alam naman natin yung hydrocephalus. Hindi lang naman spina bifida yung nakikita natin sa isang bata, pati na rin yung hydrocephalus. Kasi anong tawag dito? Yung yung hydrocephalus, 'di ba? Yun yung cerebrospinal fluid na bibuild sa spine. Tapos, kaya nagkakaroon ng hydrocephalus. Nagkakaroon ng abnormal build-up. So, naaapektuhan yung brain ng bata. Ganon. Yun yung lumalaki yung ulo. Ibig sabihin nun, yung fluid na nangyaya na nasa brain natin dumadami. And then, other complications seen in people with myelo myelomeningocele and neural tube defects as they age may include skin ulcer. Yung skin ulcer, pag sinearch nyo siya, para siyang, bed sore. Kasi, siya open, yung open siya sa skin, makikita nyo talaga. Tapos, low bone mineral density. Yung lobong, yung low bone mineral density, siya, di ba yung, yung bone natin, ano, yung loob nun, spongy type. Tapos, di ba yung, natin, yung spongy type na bone, meron siyang, tawag dito, yung bilog-bilog. Yung parang sa panghugas natin ng plato. Ganon. Pag ang nang, yung symptoms, isa na rin siya sa sign na na hindi okay kasi pag malalaki ano, yung holes, yung ganon, yung mga bilog-bilog dun sa bone, ang na niya, fragile na siya, delikado na. Kasi, pag ganon, yung outer walls din ng bone natin, manipis na. So, mabilis din to na magkaroon ng fracture, like mabalian, ganon. Tapos, precocious puberty. When changes are premature occur too soon. So, ito kasi yung yung example, yung 7 years old ka pa lang. 7 years old pa lang yung bata. Pero kung titingnan mo, ang matured na niyang tingnan. Yun yung precocious puberty. Yung parang ang bilis magbago ng body, pati yung appearance. Nagmumukha siyang matured agad. Tapos, sleep apnea. Hindi ba na-discuss naman na to, yung sleep apnea. ah Yun yung pag natutulog ka, tapos ang lakas-lakas ng hilik mo, tapos yung pakiramdam mo, pag tulog ka, ang lakas, yung pakiramdam mo, tulog ka, pero ang nangyayari na pala, tumitigil na pala yung paghinga mo, tapos bigla-bigla ka na lang magigising na parang naghahabol ka ng hininga. Kasi meron namang procedure dyan. May test na gagawin sa'yo na papatulogin ka sa hospital na para ang itsura lang din nun yung mm, parang natutulog ka lang din may kama, pero may mga nakakabit sa'yo para ma-detect yung ilang beses na ba tumitigil yung paghinga mo, kung irregular ba yung heartbeat mo. Tapos, doon nila malalaman kung malala na ba dun sa result. Tapos, pwede kang malagyan ng BPAP. Yung BPAP yung yung, yung nilalagay sa ilong. Yung BPAP is yung bilevel positive airway pressure. Yun nga, para mabawasan yung, yung epekto ng sleep apnea. Tapos, depression. Kasi, pwede din naman mag-cause ng depression, lalo pag meron ka na nito. Ayan, simulan. Like skin ulcer, yung low bone, tapos kahit alin dyan. So, hindi rin maganda. Siyempre, hindi rin naman natin maiiwasan na hindi rin natin maiiwasan o hindi din natin mapipigilan. Kasi, hindi din natin maaano yung control or yung takbo ng utak natin. Kaya, mas maigi para maiwasan natin to. Lahat ng bawal habang nagbubuntis, kahit hindi nagbubuntis, kahit hindi ka buntis, hanggat maaari, maging healthy para in the future, walang mangyari at walang mangyayari na kahit anong sakit.
PT management. So, dito alam naman natin kung para saan ang PT management. Diba, PT is to give prescriptions, advices, or mga assistance for specific exercises. Ganon. PT management, sabi dito, is when the kids are older, this can help them become more independent by maintaining and optimizing their mobility. The physiotherapist will perform an initial assessment of the infant muscle strength and range of movement available at certain joints. This will allow the physiotherapist to determine which muscles are working properly and which ones are weak. This will give them a baseline measurement to use as on comparison as the child grows. This will also allow the PT to consider what problems the infant may have as they get older and what type of assistive devices or splints they may require when they begin to mobilize. So dito, sinasabi na ang role talaga ng PT is to assist every single time and to monitor every movement ng patient para ma-prevent din yung mga much complications and to provide prescriptions on hand talaga sa PT kay patient, which is kumbaga delicate tong case na to. So, and to prevent din any much complications nandyan sa PT and to provide prescriptions. So, dito is we have the management of the neonate or the newborn babies. We have the general philosophy of treatment and preoperative assessment and management of hydrocephalus. Dito sa general philosophy of treatment, it is immediate sterile care of the open spine to prevent infection is essential and surgical closure back. Yan, makikita nyo naman sa picture. Meron, ito pa yung iso-surgery. Ayan yung ilog na yan. And then, ito na yung na-back closure na siya. So, dito kasi parang medyo mandatory ba? Talagang tatanggalin talaga yung nasa likod ni baby. Ayun yung, kumbaga, parang initial plan ni Pete. Parang initial plan, ganun. Pero doon napapasok si preoperative assessment or The preoperative assessment is done by one physician experienced in overall care of children with spina bifida. Parang this is to check if you have any medical problems that might need to be treated before your operation. Kasi hindi naman tayo pwedeng agad-agad mag-surgery if meron naman palang mga uncovering of hidden conditions si baby that could cause panang problems both and during after surgery. So, yun. Pero, parang kailangan talaga if may ganun sa likod, ayun na yung general philosophy treatment na sige, tatanggalin niya. Need tanggalin. Minsan nga, iba nakalagay dyan, nakalagay sa book is aggressively daw talagang tinatanggal. Next ay management of hydrocephalus. After neonatal surgery for back closure, meron daw 10% of the infants recover. They have their sutures removed and leave the hospital without further complication. But take note na 10% lang daw yun. So the remaining 90% will begin to develop the hydrocephalus. Preoperatively, the open back lesion may act as a natural drain for CSF, or the cerebrospinal fluid, and when it is closed, the CSF pressure begins to rise in the cranium. So, anong management para doon? Need immediate shunt insertion. Surgical insertion of a shunt will relieve the signs and symptoms associated with increased intracranial pressure. So, makikita nyo sa picture, meron dyang tube. May tube siya na ipapasok, alam ko, behind the ears. Magdi-drill doon, maliit na bilog. Mag-i-incision muna. Tapos, i-drill yung skull. Doon ipapasok yung catheter. And yung tip ng catheter na yon is ipi-place siya sa lateral ventricles. Yan. And then yung other tip naman ng catheter is nakalagay sa abdomen, under the skin, or yung tinatawag na peritoneum. Yan, para siyang membrane or lining ng abdomen, kung saan dun kukunin yung habang kinukuha yung CSF sa lateral, sa ventricles, is magpo-flow siya dun sa peritoneum. Yan, so mababawasan na yung laki ng ulo, yung mga hydrocephalus na tinatawag. So, ayun yung management. Next, we have PT for the infant with spina bifida. The role of the PT can begin in the early preoperative period before back closure with an assessment of the neonate's active lower extremity movement. Ideally, the physical therapist who provides this preoperative evaluation is able to continue treating the baby throughout the hospitalization. It is also helpful if the same therapist can provide the long-term monitoring and parent education as the baby graduates to the outpatient department or specialty clinic. So, meron tayong 8. Ano-ano yun na kailangan? We have a manual muscle testing. The goal of this early testing session is to assist the medical staff to identify the level of the back lesion by assessing the lower extremity movement. So, dito, kailangan na i-assess natin if may mga weakness ba. May mga weakness na muscle si baby, kung saan yun, syempre, sa lower X ni baby, which is, yun talaga yung mostly apektado if meron kang back lesion, diba? So, next, we have range of motion assessment. Preliminary assessment of range of motion of the lower extremity can also be performed prior to back closure. Typical full-term neonates have flexion contractions of up to 30 degrees of the hips and 10 to 20 degrees at the knees, and the ankle dorsiflexion of up to 40 or 50 degrees. Limitation of ROM in the baby with spina bifida should not be considered an indication for immediate and aggressive stretching. Early limitation in passive flexibility require a safe plan of management executed over several weeks or months. So dito, if meron si baby na, ayun nga, range of motion limitation, hindi natin siya pwedeng bigyan agad ng immediate aggressive stretching. Ayun yung sabi dyan. So, kailangan siya ng safe plan. Parang, hindi siya agad-agad 3 araw, mababalik na yung normal range of motion niya. Hindi. Parang kailangan siya ng mahabang exercises. Or, parang tawag nga dun, long-term exercises, parang ganun. Hindi minamadali. Kailangan siya long-term. Or yan, yung sabi dyan, several weeks or months. Next ay post-operative physical therapy. In order for the PT to develop comprehensive and appropriate program for the infant who has undergone back closure and shunt insertion, consideration must be given to both the neurologic and orthopedic findings. Dito naman, sinasabi na yung post-operative para siyang nandito na yung recovery process ni baby. It is necessary to restore the joint movement, the strength, and flexibility. Minsan, nire-require nila, it might, after the surgical procedures, kailangan ng orthopedic pa, ng cardiac, ng mga neurological, or kung need ng abdominal surgery. Ayun. Next ay communication with team members and parents. Ito mahalaga to kasi since hindi biro yung situation ni baby, so kahit tayo na magulang or kung sino mang members or guardian ni baby, talagang yung worry natin, yung attention natin na kay baby lang, parang kasi ayan, sabi dito, in most cases, the family of an infant born with spina bifida will experience a very different and more stressful postpartum period than they had anticipated. Sobrang stressful to para sa kanila. Their baby was probably transferred to another facility shortly after birth to receive specialty care. Often, the needs of the recovering mother are suppressed by the needs of the baby, so might it be difficult for family members to be as attentive to her as they focus on the infant. So, ang kailangan talaga is makipag-communicate tayo sa magulang na mom, mommy, daddy, baby will be fine, parang ganun. Hindi natin sila kailangan mas pakabahin pa kasi kailangan pa natin silang pakalmahin na hindi biro yung situation ni baby, pero nandito tayo para sabihin na magiging okay din si baby, nasa maayos na kamay si baby. So, hindi na kailangan maging ma-stress or mag-worry ng sobra-sobra. Pero, hindi rin naman natin masisisi yung parents. Syempre, anak nila yon, concern lang sila. Pero, the goal is to communicate with the team members nga daw and parents para maiwasan yung mga ganong stress, nagpapa-stress sa mommy or sa members. Next, we have the range of motion exercises. Daily session for lower extremity range of motion exercises can begin after back closure and taught to parent as soon as feasible. Passive range of motion exercises should be brief and performed only 2 to 3 times each day. So, dito, gagawin to, syempre, after na ng surgery or na back closure na si baby. Dun na ulit parang i-regain yung range of motion ni baby. Dun na i-regain yung mga weakness ni baby. Yan. mga range of motion exercises, lalo na yung joints, para masanay ulit si baby. Yan, ma-regain yung lost strength ni baby. Next ay, yan, positioning and handling. PT can assume responsibility for developing a program if positioning and handling for the hospitalized baby that will also be taught to the parents prior to discharge for continuation at home. Handling and caring strategies can be practiced by the therapist and then recommended to the parents. Finding a comfortable chair is most important, and once seated, the therapist or family member can hold the child prone over their top, rocking or swaying slowly side to side. So, yun. Mapapansin nyo, napakahalaga ng positioning and handling para sa baby, syempre, and lalo na sa situation niya na may spina bifida. Dahil alam naman natin, ang affected dyan is yung spine, and pati na rin yung ulo, syempre. Alam naman natin na spine is one of the most important part ng body natin. Hindi tayo, kasi parang connected dyan lahat eh. Hindi tayo makaka-position ng maayos, even stand up straight, diba? So, dito, kay baby, ayan yung magandang position niya, naka-prone. And sabi nga dito, nakaupo si mother, nakalagay si baby sa lap niya, naka-prone lang, para maiwasan yung back closure niya. Siyempre, hindi naman natin gustong magsupahin si baby. Kasi, meron nga siyang tahi sa likod. Or yan, pinapakita dyan sa picture yung pagbuhat kay baby sa shoulder. Yan. At hindi dumidikit yung tahi ni baby or naka-expose lang yung back closure niya. And next, we have the sensory assessment. Sensory assessment, the information should be shared with the family members who must become knowledgeable about their child's skin anesthesia. Educating parents about skin care for the baby is often the shared responsibility of the nursing and therapy staff. If it is sometimes difficult for parents to understand the concept that their baby has areas of lower body and legs that are insensitive to touch, the therapist can help the family discover this information on their own. Dito, after ng surgery, need natin i-assess yung sensory ni baby. If may mga na-damage na nerves, yan, dun papasok yung mga pwede natin gawin, like life touch, yan, deep pressure, para ma-assess nga kung anong mga problem ni baby after the surgery. And sabi din dyan na nabasa ko, hindi natin pwedeng gamitan ng mga super pointed things si baby para i-assess yung sensory niya, kasi very sensitive daw yung baby may spina bifida. So, handling strategies for parents. As I mentioned earlier, nga, instruction sessions with parents should begin when possible before the child is discharged from the hospital and should continue until the parents are comfortable with their handling and acceptable movement and function of the child is observed. Teaching sessions should ideally include opportunities for the parents to observe the therapist handling their baby and time to practice with this expert assistance. So, tayo, hindi naman natin gusto na basta na lang iuwi si baby without hindi natin naturuan si mommy na kung paano hawakan ang tamang paghawak kay baby, ganyan. So, kailangan niya ng teaching sessions. Kailangan niya i-educate pa sa mga dapat sa tamang paghawak, pagbuhat, paghiga, yung pagtulog ni baby, pagkain ni baby, mga posisyon na ganun. So, hindi dapat talaga na iuwi lang si baby ng wala, knowledge lang ni mommy knowledge lang ng parents yung gagawin kung ano sa tingin nilang makakabuti kay baby. Kasi, tayo yung makakasama ni baby. Tayo yung more on magiging hands-on kay baby. So, tayo yung nakakaalam. Tayo yung dapat magsabi ng tamang posisyon, tamang pagbuhat, kung saan nahawakan, kung saan isusupport, diba? Hindi natin kailangan ibigay lang basta-basta iuwi. I-discharge lang ng ganun-ganun lang. Marami pang kailangan si baby na hindi magawa or mga limitations and restrictions pa. Kasi nga, kaka-back closure lang sa kanya. Hindi, maraming, kumbaga, sensitive pa si baby. Yan. Okay, so dito naman tayo sa orthotics as an intervention for spina bifida patients. Orthotics can be crucial for children with spina bifida as they help provide support, stability, and alignment for the lower limbs. Customized orthotic devices such as braces or shoe inserts assist in managing mobility challenges, improving gait patterns, and preventing deformities. These aids contribute to enhanced independence, comfort, and overall quality of life for children facing the physical effects of spina bifida. So, dito meron tayong lists ng mga children na suitable for this kind of intervention. Those are children with thoracic level paralysis, with high lumbar paralysis, children with both thoracic and high lumbar paralysis, children with low lumbar paralysis, and children with sacral level paralysis. To tackle this a bit further, naglagay kami ng types of braces na usually ginagamit sa mga spina bifida patients. First one, we have the ankle foot orthosis or the AFO. Past the ankle and reaching halfway up the calf, this brace provides support for the foot. The primary purpose of an AFO is to provide support for the lower leg and regulate the range of motion of the ankle. Due to their frequent use in supporting a dropped foot, AFOs are frequently referred to as foot drop braces. Okay, so as you guys can see in the picture, this type of brace provides support sa ankle part. This is often used sa mga patients na may case ng drop foot. That is why mas kilala ang AFO o ankle foot orthotics bilang foot drop braces. This type of orthotics is usually given to patients with milder cases lamang ng spina bifida at wala masyadong compromised physical function in their lower extremities. Next, we have the supramalleolar orthosis or the SMO. This type of orthosis supports the leg from the foot to right above the ankle bones. Ankle bones are called malleoli, hence the name of this device. This is the shorter version of an AFO. Okay, so halos same lang siya ng AFO, pero ang supramalleolar orthosis is shorter version. This type is usually used by spina bifida patients na hindi gaano ka-severe ang mobility problems. Next, we have the knee ankle foot orthosis or the CAFO. The CAFO is more complex device than the AFO since it reaches past the knee. CAFO is frequently required in spina bifida individuals who have more severe mobility problems since their entire leg has decreased feeling, strength, and movement. This type of brace reaches past the knee. So, kung yung mga nabanggit kanina, the AFO at saka yung SMO ay sa lower leg lamang, this type of brace, mas okupado ang mas larger area ng lower X ng patient. And lastly, we have the reciprocating gait orthosis or the RGO. The reciprocating gait orthosis consists of full leg braces connected with a rigid pelvic band that is attached through a cable around the hips. The wearer can move forward with the opposing hip and leg when they flex a hip joint. Therefore, the left hip and leg move when they flex to the right and vice versa. This is a relatively new invention that is mostly utilized in spina bifida patients who have experienced lower body paralysis either completely or partially. Ayan, so kung makikita nyo dito sa picture, from hips going down na ang orthosis na to. This device helps more sa pelvic area ni patient. Flexion ng hips, mga ganyan. This device helps them walk more efficiently despite their lower body paralysis. But we should be aware that within each group of children, they may have very different patterns of active movement, strength, and upright function. Thus, we should remember that each children must be evaluated individually and depend on the findings to build a management plan specific to the child.